Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at some of the new features of our latest point release, Liberty version 5, build 8.25. This point release is really chock full of new exciting features, and I'm going to try and give you at least a quick look at most of them. So let's start out in our usual place, which is the search interface, also known as OPAC. We've introduced a new kind of information box. You see it here. It's called Book Slide. And if you have ever created a carousel, you know exactly how to create it, including all of the search criteria and other things that we added to carousel. The difference is the way in which the cover art is displayed. You can click on a specific location, or you can slide it back and forth. How would you create one of these? The same way you would a carousel. You just add information box, although you choose book slider, and the rest is well documented as how we manage carousel. So we hope that you'll enjoy this newest addition to our information box types. The next thing is in a sense related. Let me just do a search here. Since we're doing so much with cover art, we decided that we would optionally enhance the way that we would display a cover if we needed to use the default. So clearly, if you have cover art from any of the number of ways you can get it these days, if you don't, what we've always done is just display the image of the resource that we've identified. You may notice that there is now color around that and also the author and title information. I'm going to show you in a minute how you can do that. This is an optional new way to show default based on either bib type or the GMD. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and of course these same images show in the list mode, is that we're giving you the ability to add in addition information into the extension to the title that appears on a results set. So let's jump over to the staff side to see how we can implement these new features. Let's just go over to parameters, and we'll go into the search parameters that control display. And the first thing I want to do is talk about an old parameter that we've had pretty much since the beginning. This is what controls what you see beyond title on the results list. And what we've done is we've added some new options that include addition. So if you'd like to include addition on that results display, just come here and amend your choice in 4201. And the other two new options have to do with limiting how many resources will be shown when you do either a carousel or a slider box. And secondly, did you want to use the enhanced default image when you don't have cover art? And if you turn that to yes, it is set defaulted to no, as we change little when we can. We introduce new features. But if you change it to yes, then your next stop will be, just cancel out of this, here in bib types or GMDs, where, let's look at ebooks, where the image or the icon that is used for that material type is affiliated. What we've given you is the ability to also add in color. So you can choose a background color and you can choose a text color. The text will be the author and title that's set. So once you change that parameter, you can set the outside color and also the text color so that you can enhance the default. I will mention that this feature works better with simpler images to represent the different material types, and you can always design your own, but if you look at our chooser, pretty much in every category there is some image that is a basic gray outline, and those will work very nicely with this idea of surrounding them by color and perhaps unique color per different div type or GMD. Now let's go back to OPAC for a moment, and I'll show you another thing we've done. So here in other searches is access to one of our favorite features, lists. What I'll point out is that you can now add text to explain what any given list represents. This text is in a field that we've had for a long time, which is called the scope note of the list authority and cataloging. How do you get it to display here? You just use your favorite system feature, pages, and we've allowed for you to add scope note into this display, and that's how you'll see it if you'd like to. So let's go and look at a resource again, and I'll show you another very cool thing we've done. So if we look at this resource, you notice that the URL is a phrase, a label, sometimes called a public note or a display name. It's not the URL itself. And yet, if we click it, you'll see that we actually do get the full URL that represents. So the question is, how was this created? If you use Mark as your basic editing tool, you may have been in the habit of adding a special subfield to the 856 for the URL. But if you were not using Mark, you've not been able to do this, and we've now given you that capability. So let's go back over to the staff side. Let's just find a resource so I can show you this. And as you can see, the full URL is here and the public display is in parentheses. So how would we create it? Well, let me just edit this. Again, not in Mark, but in the non-Mark editing. I'll get rid of this and let's just put the basic link in. You can then put one space on the line. That's the trick. One space, and then you can say, click here for review, for example, and add that in. And you'll see, save this, you'll see that what that does is allow this public or name to then launch the full URL, making your OPAC or search interface yet more beautiful. Go back again and let's look at self-circulation. For those of you who have added this into your public interface, we have a couple of enhancements here. One is that we've given you the ability to add color. How we've done this is we added 4 new parameters that work identically to the similar parameters we added to Circulation Desk a few releases ago. And there's a wonderful short video either on our YouTube channel or on the portal, the how-to video section, that tells you exactly how to do that. But these parameters are in under the self-circulation section. And then we have also enhanced the way that a borrower can enter their record so that they can do the self-circulation. As you may know, it has always been only the alias, but we've now added searching on the full name, as Circulation Desk does. Okay. But before we leave the OPAC side, I want to talk about something that isn't specifically OPAC itself, but will give you the ability to take any of your information boxes and embed them on a different web page. So in order to do that, you need to know what defines this box. And we've given you that information. If you scroll way down here, you'll see that there is a new field called Embed. And that that script, when placed on another web page, will make the same thing happen as happens in this information box. Now, you will not see the embed field when you come up on point 25. If you are interested in doing this, again, you just need to edit the information box with pages turned on so that you can move the embed field from the hidden fields onto the displayed fields, and then that information will be available for you. But otherwise, you won't see it. And now I think it's time to move back over to the staff side. So we'll start here, and the first thing that I want to show you is a few enhancements to searching catalog. You may notice that we have a new search for classification range. This is based on what's called the sortable classification. So depending on which scheme you use, it should work appropriately. So if I just put in this system has mostly Dewey Decimal, so we'll just do it this way. We'll go ahead and search, and you can see that I've gotten a range of Dewey numbers. This same search is also available on copies here. And what you're not seeing, but you could do if you turned on pages so that you see the hidden fields, you can also add into both of these screens who searched, who entered and who changed the data. Remember that those IDs are always based on your staff member's alias. And we've added one other thing to the resources search. If you use custom authority fields, you can now put in a search box to search those fields. If you're not sure whether or not you're using custom authorities, the easiest way to check that out is just to come here to Authority Control, pull down the function menu, and any of the entries that are at the bottom, probably not still named user authority, but your preferred name, identifies your custom authorities. And as long as we're here, I'll show you another new thing that we've added. For those of you who verify or confirm or approve new authorities, you've always had to actually go into the authority heading in order to be able to verify it. But now we've added a little tick box so you can verify them from the list level. So we're always looking to provide efficiencies for you. And one last thing back here on resources is another thing that we have from the function menu. This was for a long time called the multi-barcode search. It is still the multi-barcode search, but we've also given you the ability to search by cataloging ID, ISBN, ISSN, and then to bring that set of data together. Okay. Now off to our circulation area. Let me bring up a borrower. We've added a new column that specifies whether or not something has a reservation. I think the obvious benefit of this is if you have local rules that say you won't renew based on something being reserved or just being able to review overdue materials with your borrower knowing that there are reservations on it. So that will immediately identify it. If you need any details on the reservation, all you'd have to do is click and the reservation record would appear. And speaking of reservations, in a sense related to that, we've given you another tool for overdues. You may know that when you define a notice, in addition to new ways of defining the time period, which came out in our last release, we're also now giving you the ability to limit it to only reserved items. So you could design a notice that went to no one except overdue items that were reserved, again, within the time period as defined. So both of those will affect using reservations and circulation. And we've added a wonderful new report, which technically is a circulation report, but as you know, the search reports are really about how people are using your search interface or OPAC. And the new report is who searched. You can set a time period. You can decide whether to have it in Word, Excel, or a PDF, and it will look like this. So it will include when the search was done, what kind of search it was, whether it was an any-word search or an author search, how many results your user got, their alias and name, the branch, and the borrower loan category. So especially I think taking this out in Excel could get you some very interesting statistics to look at how people are searching your catalog. And the last thing that I want to mention, really somewhat in passing, is that there are a few reports in the circulation area, such as the resource usage summary, that have always been PDF only, and we're now giving you the option to have them appear in Word instead. In a moment I'm going to talk about serials. There are also reports there in the same situation. But it won't happen unless you go to parameter 5116 and say that you prefer the Word format. But this does bring me to a point that I want to mention, because I'm giving you a lot of parameter information and I'm giving you a lot of report information, and I want you to know that you don't have to memorize it or play this video over and over again. Your best information about learning what's in any of our releases is just to grab the release notes. They are here in Help. Whenever you open Help, they are always at the bottom. They are typically significant. This one is 14 pages long. They include images. And for things where we are adding multiple fields or multiple reports are affected, this is really your go-to place to see all of the changes that we've made. So don't forget about it. Anytime you open Help, at the very bottom, you always have the Release Notes tab. All right. Now, let's move over to serials. And let's go into subscriptions, and I'll show you a new thing that we've done here. Notice rollover subscriptions. So if it is your habit to produce a new subscription either every year or at any time, we've given you a tool that will duplicate the basic information and all of the quantity and the copy assignment and the routing or distribution and the email notifications. All of that will be copied over. All you have to do is say rollover subscription and give a date for when it starts. So for those of you who need that, we hope that will be a big help. And as I mentioned a moment ago, some of the serials reports, specifically the circulating lists, or routing or distribution lists, several of those that have always been PDF are now available in Word. And that means that after you produce them, you would be able to make minor changes. So again, read the release notes to see the full list. The next thing I want to show you, let me just go back to a resource. If I wanted to upload something for this record or any other, when we hit the add or the upload, normally it opens a window onto our machine so we can pick a file. That will still work. You can still, in the new interface, click and you will see a file that, could be chosen. But we're also introducing drag and drop. So I've pulled this off screen, but just to show you that I have a full file here, and I can drag and drop in this way and then submit, and you can watch them all upload. So that's the new interface for doing attachments. It's not just here in the resource record. you'll also see it in all the other places in Liberty where we're attaching files. And that, in a sense, brings me to my last topic, which is that I want to talk a little bit about the enhancements that we've done with HTML email, and also the new places that we've added it. So the first thing is, so that I don't make unkind assumptions, what is HTML email? And the easiest way is just to show you. So rather than the usual text email, this is what it can look like. It's optionally branded at the top, and I'm going to talk a lot about the content and the footer. We introduced HTML email a few releases ago, and it is turned on just by changing the parameter, which is 1603. And then previously, all interest, and that includes the serials, email notification, and overdue notices would be emailed in this format. Now, we've made some additions to this, which are that we're giving you more fields that you can include in your descriptions of things, and those are managed in that reporting area that I demonstrated when we first introduced the feature. But what we are adding now to the footer area is the ability to put in a new unsubscribe if what you're sending out is an interest. And if your user clicks that unsubscribe link, if they're part of a group, they'll just be deleted from the group. But if it's a private interest and they are the only user, then the interest itself will also be deleted. We have a new parameter, 1607, that covers hyperlinks in this footer area. It defaults to no, rather to yes, that they will work. But if you change it to no, then all of the links to the library homepage will be removed. And as you can see here, I'm addressed by my full name. You can now add in a salutation. That's in yet another new parameter. These are all in that area that controls HTML email. So that's what it looks like, and those are the changes that we've made to the current. What we've added are in two areas. First, as you may know, whenever you do a search, if you offer either email options or request options, these have emails, and those emails would be HTML. And the final area is that here in our borrowers, depending again on how your Liberty is set up, if your user has an email address, you may be able to either in bulk for a group of users or for an individual user send an email. And these email are now HTML, and we've also given you the ability to add an attachment. The other features here have been with us for a while, and we also have some video on how to manage both the email template and also emailing borrowers from inside of Liberty. So I'm sorry this particular recording has been a little longer than usual, but we had so much to show you that we hope that you will get great benefit from all of the new features that we are adding into Liberty.